So I haven't played this bass for a long time, and obviously I just figured I'd just plug in and play what came out and not edit it, not cut out the parts where I maybe hit a sour note or flub something here or there. Sometimes it's just important to just play, not worry about whether you're perfect, and not worried about whether your tone is the best, or worried about, you know, whether the bass is set up properly or whatever. I don't play this bass very often. I plugged it in and tuned it. The truss rod needs adjusted very, very badly, and the action's super high right now. It's really kind of hard to play. I didn't care. I just kind of felt like maybe if I just plugged in and played it, maybe something would come to me. And I think it's important to do that once in a while. If you have different instruments that you maybe don't play as often as your main instruments, one thing that I like to do that really seems to kickstart a new way of thinking, or something to get you out of a rut you've been in, is to just pick up something different. Even if, you know, if it's your your very first guitar that, you know, was some $100 junky thing or whatever, and even if it's not like perfectly intonated and the tuning may be a little wonky, pick it up and play it. You'll be surprised at how many different ideas sort of come to you just because something about the instrument has a different vibe for you. It feels different, it sounds different. Maybe the neck is a little faster or a little slower. Maybe the strings are farther apart or closer together. There's all kinds of things that make each instrument different. For me, one of my favorite things about having multiple instruments is that if I get into a rut, or I get to where I feel like I'm constantly falling back on the same shapes and the same runs, if I grab a different bass or a different guitar or whatever it is, I feel like I'm immediately freed from those constraints, and I do things that are different than what I've been doing. That's not to say you're going to play completely different. It's not to say you're not going to be the same artist that you are, but even the best artists get a little bit of a familiarity with what they're doing, and they end up repeating themselves. And that's how you fall into sort of a groove that you don't necessarily want to be in, and sometimes you just have to figure out a way to break yourself out of it. That's my advice for today. If you're feeling like you're stuck, just grab a different instrument, even if it's something cheap, even if it's something junky. Just something to change the feel in your fingers, something to change the tone coming out of your speakers, something to make you feel differently in some way, and that will lead you down a path of creating something different than you would have if you would have stuck with the instrument that you normally play all the time. Best of luck, stay positive, and hang loose.